Yes, hello folks, and welcome along once again to the Left Wing Back Show. It's the Carlow Camogie up for the match county final special. Apologies, we're a couple of minutes late coming on the air. We just had a bit of difficulty getting Mr. James Connolly on from Burn Rangers. He is endeavouring to jump on the link, so apologies for that. But we are live now, and it is in association with Swans electrical expert Carlow, and we are previewing, of course, the Reddies of Carlow Senior and Junior Camogie Championship finals, which are taking place on Saturday at IT Carlow. First up at 1 o'clock, it is Winnipeg and Burn Rangers. And then, of course, at 3, it's Michael up against Nairbree, a repeat of last year's final. So, in the absence of James Connolly, Mick Lillis is here on the other side from the Winnipeg point of view. How are you going, Mick? What's the story with you?
All good, Kev. All good, thank God, yeah.
A busy week, no doubt. Fingernail biting probably on Monday. I know a couple of your girls were involved maybe with IT Carlow, and maybe there's other college games taking place this week, but yeah, I think they've probably come through unscathed anyway, have they?
Yeah, a few of the girls are actually playing there again tonight again at Loan. They played a practice match there last Monday night as well with Carlow IT. There we have a couple of girls with the club playing on it there, so it's great. It's more camogie from great standard of camogie when they play the colleges as well, so to bring that back to the club. The same few girls that play with the colleges there are also on the county senior teams and that, so it's nearly 12 months of the year for them now, in fairness, but as I said, they're bringing loads back to the younger girls in the club that they're feeding off as well, so it's all good at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, you want them playing at a higher standard, but obviously it's a nervous week too, because you don't want anyone getting injured.
Yeah, it's probably it. It's probably not as stressful with the fact that we have 32 girls on our panel maybe, so it's a little bit, we have a little bit of leeway maybe for an injury or two, but God forbid, we don't want that anyway coming into county final week. Hopefully this will be their last run out tonight. We have a late training session organised for Friday evening. Then we get ready for the county final on Saturday.
Yeah, so obviously, I suppose from your point of view, you're looking to make amends for last year. That was a cracking final. Ballinkillen won 16, and he finished with a tally of 3-7, and unfortunately didn't get over the line. And it was a local derby as well, and that brought its own bit to it. But I suppose it's different this time out now. We have Burn Rangers involved, and speaking of Burn Rangers, actually, I think we might have James Connolly. James, you with us?
Kevin, how are you?
There we go, at long last. A few technical difficulties, but thanks for jumping on. By hook or by crook, we got you there.
Not at all, Kevin.
Yeah, we can hear you anyway. We're kind of seeing you. It's probably in the Stephen Bambury category in terms of visuals, right? Yeah. But we can hear you, and that's the most important thing. So, how are things with you?
Things are well, Kevin. Yeah, no bother at all going well. Yeah.
And I suppose an exciting week. This is your first junior camogie final, I think.
It is indeed, Kevin. Yeah, this is our first venture at this level. So, this is our second year actually in the junior championship in Carlow. So it's new ground for us, and it's an exciting week. Yeah, and the girls are really up for it, and they're buzzing now. To be honest, we had them out training there this evening, so they're up for it and looking forward to it. You know,
good
very
stuff.
much.
And yeah, I think it's with obviously yourselves and Winnipeg, and Mick, you probably confirmed this. Probably the two newest clubs, I would say, in Carlow Camogie over the last maybe 10 years. How long has Winnipeg back going, Mick?
2011 we were founded, Kev. I think Burn Rangers were 2009, James. Is that right?
Yeah, Burn Rangers founded in 2009 as a hurling and camogie club, but the actual camogie side of it started the following year, 2010. So yeah, we are two young clubs.
Young clubs, yeah.
Yeah, and that's fantastic to see. I mean, we didn't have too many clubs before that, so the more new clubs and the more people playing the game, the better. So that's a real success story in itself, and the fact that the two of you are in the county final now is even better, in fairness.
Yeah, it's great. Sure. It's great for both clubs, I suppose. We probably, our first year having an adult team was 2016, and I remember we beat St. Mullins in the final, and we were saying, "Geez, this is great. We'll win a few of these," but then 17 didn't go to plan. Then we lost 3 finals in a row, 18, 19 and 20. So we're back in it again. So it's our 5th visit here in the county final with only 1 win so far. So hopefully we're hoping for big things now come Saturday.
Yeah, and I suppose how are you looking at it then, James, from Burn Rangers' point of view?
Well, I suppose for us it's novel. You know, last year, as I say, it was our first year entering. We got to the semi-final and were beaten by Bagenstown in the semi-final. But we feel we've made a lot of progress in this season alone, we're hoping we've made enough progress, but we certainly have made progress. Our team is very young. I suppose the vast majority of our team are actually minors. Certain few of them are also under 16. And then we're backboned by a few older players as well. That in our case, we have a few girls who would have played when the club started off originally, and maybe have gave it up for a couple of years and came back to it. So we were delighted to get them on board. And a bit like Mick there, we have a panel as well of about 34, I think. We are carrying a couple of long-term injuries as well, but we do have, around 34, I think, hopefully talking out at the weekend. And it's just a novelty of it for us. We're really looking forward to it.
And I suppose, James, it's not the only big thing happening this week down in Burn Rangers, because the under-15 boys, I think, are in an A final as well, are they? Or is that, did I read that somewhere?
Yeah, well, we're making a bit of history on that front as well, because we have reached an under-15 A final, So they're playing Carlow Town tomorrow night and Dr. Cullen at 8 o'clock. So, there's been a real buzz around the club and around the parish for the last couple of weeks, actually, because we've also been in a couple of football finals with St. Martin's, under 15 and under 13. And Mick will tell you that as well there. Unfortunately, they came out the wrong side of two results there, one of them against Bagenstown and the other against Pal, under 13 and 15 the last couple of weeks. But we see it as big progress, I suppose, getting to A finals. I suppose for us now, the next step is to win. So we're very hopeful tomorrow night that the lads will put in a good performance with the under-15s.
And I think the bigger picture of that as well is the fact that Carlow Town are in the final also. And Mick, you know this, you're a big hurling man as well as a Camogie man, and that's such a big thing for the sport in Carlow to see those two clubs in an A final. That's marvellous, and it needs it.
It's Carlow Town / St. Tanta, and they're an absolutely, they made our own under-15s in the semi-final. They're a marvellous bunch of lads as well, in fairness. That the club over there in Carlow Town now is thriving, in fairness, Carlow Town / St. Tanta. But we also played during the year, we played Burn Rangers. The standard of hurling both of them clubs are offering there at the minute at under-15 level. They're offering loads of players into the county development squads. It's only good for the conveyor belt in Carlow is moving now, thank God, in the hurling circles anyway. They're definitely moving in the right direction now. All the development squads are great lads over them. But when you have new clubs like this feeding in lots of players, it can only be positive moving forward.
And just going back to the Camogie side of things, lads, so you're both saying you have big panels. So the one thing that turns out for me there is obviously Trojan worked on the underage, but actually maintaining that and bringing the players through and keeping them, right? Because we all know there's a fierce drop-off rate. But to have 33, 30, anywhere in around, Jesus, there's clubs barely had 15 played in senior finals at one stage. So to have that, I think, is marvellous. So I'll ask the question, I suppose, apart from the factors that I've mentioned there, what do you actually put that down to? And James, I'll ask that to you first.
Well, I suppose, Kevin, a lot of it goes down to a lot of hard work by a lot of people, over a long period of time. And we would have found, both from a hurling and Camogie point of view, in our parish anyway, that I suppose we're traditionally not necessarily a hurling area. So to establish hurling and Camogie in our area, we realised very quickly after the first couple of years, this is actually going to take a lot longer than we thought originally. And it could nearly be another generation of players before, you're consistently competing at the top. But you said it there yourself. It's the conveyor belt, and to make sure that you have another generation of players coming behind them, and that you have your under 6s, your under 8s, your under 10s are coming through every year. That's the challenge really for the club, and we would find that from a coaching point of view, to have enough coaches and people to get involved and have enough players to come through, because you can make the mistake, I suppose, of concentrating on a particular group of players. And then if you don't watch what's coming behind them, you are going to have gaps as you go up along. You would find that. So it does take a lot of work from an awful lot of people, yeah.
Mick, what have you to add to that?
Yes, basically what James is after saying there, it's we're probably very lucky in when you build Camogie Club. We have a very small but a very hard working committee, very well driven by our chairman, Gerard Power. Like, he spends hours upon hours a week organising everything from under 6 right through to our adult team. and that takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. And at times it probably doesn't seem very appreciative of other people going around maybe at the times, and lads, you know yourself, you're getting a bit of slagging back and forth. But like for the amount of hours that our small committee put in, they should only be applauded around. I know in Bagnallstown areas they are, like, but it's definitely is to keep the players coming, under 6, under 8s, under 10s. That's the trick, you know. That's the secret, is probably keep the youth coming. And the big thing, I suppose, in Camogie circle as well, that all your minor girls can tug out with your senior teams. So like we're saying, we have great numbers. Both clubs, ourselves and Burn Rangers, have 30 plus. But like as James said, probably the majority of his minors are on his panel. The majority of my minors are on my panel as well. So like that's great for the younger player, because they're getting loads of training, loads of games, and now the minor championship has started as well. So now they're getting loads of matches as well. So as I said, it's not easy to sit down and pick teams, I'd say, as James would probably agree, but definitely it's a great headache to have 30 plus talking out for county finals anyway.
Yeah, and look, lads, you know, with the help of God, in the next couple of years, you both be up senior. I know only one can kind of maybe progress the weekend, but from that point of view, there's all the hallmarks of second teams as a possibility in the not too distant future. Wouldn't that be remarkable?
Yeah, definitely something that we in Bagnallstown would love anyway, that maybe in 2022, if we were lucky enough Saturday to get over the line and win the junior title, that maybe we could have 2 teams next year, you know. We definitely have more girls coming through, and it'd be great for the community here to give all girls lots more games time. It'd be great to have a junior and senior club, you know.
I'm sure you're thinking that way yourself, James.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. Yeah, I just think presently, you know, this present championship has only had 3 teams in it at junior level. So, you know, 1 team is now going to go up senior. So then you could be facing a scenario of just 2 junior teams. So it is, I think, it's something that has to be considered at some of the clubs, at least some of the clubs in the county, if not most of them, would need to be looking at a second team if at all possible. And as Mick says there, the main advantage of that is you're keeping your players, you know, and they won't drift away because there'll be game time for them. So it's something, it's something that we're a bit from that, but at the same time, we are conscious of keeping all our girls involved in making sure there's game time for everyone.
So in order to better facilitate then lads, I suppose, do you consider an intermediate grade? Do you know what I mean? Because you add in the extra grade, then maybe I know everyone isn't fortunate enough to have a second team. Like I said, there's some senior squads having the numbers you have, but if there was a 3rd grade, then you could possibly look at junior being a grade for second teams, perhaps. Would that be something that could be considered in order to keep girls playing? Because ultimately that is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think to be fair to the county board, like they would put out feeders at the start of every year to see is there an appetite there for senior clubs and any club to have enough for 2 teams. And I'm sure if the numbers were there, that definitely, like I see this year now, there's the senior shield competition for the beaten semi-finalist of the senior championship, along with the bottom team, which was Ballinkilden in the senior championship, and 14 then is the winners of the junior final on Saturday between ourselves and Burn Rangers. So like that's a competition, probably more or less what you're saying. It's nearly like a step between senior to junior, you know what I mean? It's a senior shield competition, so that kicks off actually Saturday week. So like ourselves or Burn Rangers will have that. It's another little bit of a carrot, I suppose, to try grab there, that it'll keep you hurling another week or 2 maybe into the season. You know, I know we're late into the season as it is, but it'd be great to stay hurling into as long as you can now that we have everyone turned up to the field and they're training, and, you know, keep them playing as long as possible now. Like, as we all see, GAN's nearly gone 12 months of the year now anyway.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, in terms of the game itself, then, and I suppose the season. So, Mick, I know you went straight through. James, you won the semi-final, I think, against Setanta. So, like, how? I suppose it's unfair to be asking both managers where's it going to won and lost and who should we be looking out for and stuff, because, you know, at the end of the day, go see the game and you'll decide for yourself, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, I'm sure there's different things you've identified in both squads without probably giving it away on air. But a great deal of respect for Team Both anyway, no doubt.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Definitely. Like, when we spoke to one another after the last game, myself and James were just saying that, like, the scoreline the last day we played didn't reflect the game. To be fair, every ball was battled for. Like, we're under no illusions that when we go into the county final on Saturday, we're going to have to be at our best to get over the line.
Well,
And
I
James?
think as well, I was talking to Mick there after that previous occasion and talking to and his players as well. I was just saying to them, we'll be giving it everything. Our girls are really up for it, and they will battle for every ball. That's the way they play anyway, So we just go and give it a lash and see what happens.
That's all you can do. So yeah, 1 o'clock throw in IT Carlow on Saturday for the Raised to Carlow Junior Camogie Championship final. And the very best luck to both of you. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast, and we'll chat to you soon, no doubt. All right.
Yeah, one Kev. Thanks very much.
Thanks a million. There we go.
Thanks,
Mick Gillis of
See you,
Winnipeg
Mick.
and James Connolly of Burn Rangers. So now we shift our focus to the Senior Camogie final, the Raised to Carlow Senior Camogie final at 3 o'clock at IT Carlow. And it is Michael up against Nail Breed. So we're going to bring in, first of all, Breed Nolan. How are you getting on, Breed?
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Flying it now. And we have Katie Gary Murphy as well.
Hi, how are you getting on? Good, thanks.
You're just in from a game, I believe.
Yeah, just straight off the pitch there. I didn't play now, but the college was playing UCD in the first round of the league. So I just ran off from that there.
Right, so you were told to mind yourself.
Yeah, may start behaving anyway.
Yeah, I think it seems that girls in other colleges weren't so fortunate, as Mick was saying. I think was it a couple of his girls involved with that loan or something he was saying there earlier. So yeah, Mark has played it a bit safer.
Yeah, I've done my ankle there a few weeks ago, so I was told I had to cut back. So I was finally starting to listen.
Yeah, there's a physio there now beside you that could look after you, but I'm sure there's someone else looking after you. Breach, how are you keeping?
Not too bad, not too bad. Looking forward to the weekend ahead.
You've been very busy, obviously with work, involved with a lot of teams. I think you're involved with James's side there, Burn Rangers as well. So you're not going to be idle on Saturday anyway.
No, I won't be. I already got the call to do the match before my own county final on the line as physio for Burn Rangers. So unfortunately, you have to politely decline some work when it comes your way. But no, I love working with teams. I suppose sometimes when you're going to stand on the sideline, you forget that you're actually getting paid to be there, because half the matches I'd be working at, I'd be going to see anyway. So it's a nice little bonus getting the paycheck at the end.
Yeah, and involved with Grange last weekend in their success.
Yeah, Grange. Unfortunately, I can't take all the credit for their success last weekend, but it was certainly good to work with the lads. And it's great when the team you're working with does, get the win. It's always a good feeling. So I'm delighted for the lads. They're going on to Leinster's now on the 19th, so see how that goes.
And they've a fair age profile, so I'd say you were kept busy somehow or another.
Yeah, I know. And at the start of the season, there was always a joke like, "Oh, it's all the older lads up on the table," but coming near the end, it was all the younger lads. So the older lads didn't have much to be ashamed for now, to be honest. But no, they're a good bunch of lads.
Yeah. So as well as that, you're chairperson of Michael as well, are you?
Yeah, I am. Kind of fell into the position now, Kevin, more so than anything. You know yourself, being involved with clubs over the years, sometimes it's harder than other years to get people involved in the committee. And I think when you're involved yourself, you realise how much commitment it is. So you don't blame people kind of having to take a step back at times. So we're fairly lucky in Michael that players do step up to the positions when they're needed on the committee. Now, bearing in mind, it's not the players that run the club. We've loads of people involved outside of the committee, but sometimes we just need the names to fill in the positions. So I don't know what I'm at half the time, but sure, look, I'm there anyway.
Yeah, well, you have to break up all the murders that does happen at them committee meetings. And sometimes they do get hot and heavy, but obviously you have a hard working committee out there, because like the success on the field, a lot of that comes from what goes on in meetings and things being laid on for you as well. So I'm sure you're very appreciative of that. And it's only when you go in yourself, probably you get a great understanding of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I suppose sometimes you forget that people are there just to play it, and unfortunately we can't play unless we have a good committee behind us. So I suppose it isn't good to get involved and see what goes on behind the scenes, and it does make you appreciate it a little bit more than when you are playing out on the pitch. So it's a good experience overall.
Definitely. So let's get a little flavour of what the year has been like for both of you. So I suppose we might take it back to the county a little bit first, actually, because that was a kind of a roller coaster of a year, and it ended in a mad kind of relegation final. And in the end, Carlow are intermediate again for next year. So that's a big positive. Katie Gary Murphy, you were, I seen you cornerback, I think, at one stage. You play a wing forward, very versatile. But what was the season like in general? How did you find it in there?
Sure, look, it didn't end as well. It ended well enough that we're still intermediate, but we obviously had our ups and downs. Nearly getting relegated wasn't ideal. The league went well for us until we got the match against Armagh there. look, it's tough being an intermediate county and then at the same level for football. Like we've dual players as well in there. So I suppose when you're training, like the girls worked hard, got very lucky over the line against Tip. And I suppose it'd be just looking into next year to try actually compete a bit harder at intermediate.
Yeah, and that seems like I suppose Breed's like a very changed kind of side. You know, there's a lot of players that are coming through from, say, when you started playing county or whatever, and which is probably good in one sense. Like you obviously lose a bit of experience, and that's just a test of time. But some of those players coming through are very good, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think every few years it's good to kind of have that refresh where you lose some of the older, more experienced players, but it kind of frees up some space for younger players to come through. So sometimes you kind of have to bear with the new squad that's coming through and allow girls to get experience, you know. Like I'm there a good few years and I wouldn't even consider myself one of the more experienced people on the panel. But I suppose it's healthy in a county setup that you have younger girls coming through and giving the older girls kind of a chance to sweat about their positions and wonder, you know, are they going to make it or are they not? And it's good to have that competition, I suppose, within the panel. So every few years, yeah, it's good to have that kind of refreshing vibe going through the panel. So I think we got that this year, and it's just another year to kind of build on the foundations of that going forward.
Yeah, and obviously I think Carlow Camogie are on the hunt for a new manager at the moment. I don't know, are they still on the hunt? Is there a few people and a few names in the hat, or any vicious rumours going around?
Well, if there's any names in the hat anyway, I don't know about them, so I have no goss for you, Kevin.
Yeah, you're not going to say it on the podcast anyway.
No, it won't be me anyway. I'm not going to be the chairperson of the county.
Yeah, you've enough jobs going on. But you're involved. Are you on the county board committee as well as the club committee?
I am, yeah. I'm PRO on the county board.
Glutton for punishment.
I don't know why I do it. Yeah, I'm a sucker for punishment. But you know what? Again, the position was there. It needed to be filled. There was very few people coming forward, and I had the very bare minimum experience working with my own committee. So I said, look, I'll put my name in and I'll do the job for the year and see how it goes. So I didn't mind. It was good experience.
Yeah. How are you actually getting time to play with all this going on?
Well, the amount of time I spent playing this year was very minimal anyway, between injuries and whatnot. So it nearly suited me this year. I was out for a few months at the start of the year, so I got all my committee duties done at that time. But I'm only really kind of getting back into playing myself in the last few weeks. So I suppose it's probably the best year for me to commit some time to the committee, but I made it work anyway, just about. Yeah,
and talk to us about how the club season has gone then. Obviously, you beat St. Mullins in the semi-final bridge, 2-12 to 6 points, I think. But in general, how has the season gone? And give us a little flavour of how it transpired, I suppose.
Yeah, the season has gone well so far, I suppose. Again, just speaking about kind of new people coming up on a county panel, we've been very fortunate in Moishan in the last number of years of having younger girls come up on our panels as well. So we have a great bunch of younger girls this year on our panel that we haven't had before. And again, it's given the club a chance to see new players. It's making some older players. Now, I know it's a bit sad to be saying I'm considered an older player and I'm only 24, but I suppose on paper I am at the moment. And it's given us, you know, a chance to sweat about our positions and are we going to make it. And it's really healthy competition within the panel this year that we probably haven't had as much over the last few years. So that has been really good and it's really given us kind of the boost that we needed. So look, we're looking forward to going into the final, and I suppose people will always comment on the success that we had in the past in county finals, but we don't dwell on that at all. I mean, winning county finals in the past is not going to guarantee you're going to win them in the future. So we're very lucky to have the record that we have, but we certainly park that going into a county final, and we're just lucky to be there every year and we don't take it for granted at all.
Just in terms of those players who are, you know, putting everyone under pressure and have kind of broken onto the squad. So maybe name drop a few of those for us.
Yeah, so look, we've the likes of Amy Nolan coming in there, like wing forwards. I mean, she's a fantastic player, so skilled and so strong, you know, and no fear. Like, I think that's a big thing amongst our younger players coming up, is that they're just fearless. We've Kim Doyle there as well, in on the full forward line, and played a bit of camogie with the minor county team this year as well. And again, she's unstoppable, and that's only to name two, you know. So we're really, really lucky this year.
Okay, so from the neighbourly point of view, how has the season gone? 1-12 to 9, I think, the semi-final win over Rangers.
Yeah, it was a good win. Look, Rangers have always been a strong side and we come up against them a lot, so it's nice to get a win and get into the final again this year. Obviously, we left the final last year, not in the best position. Came up against a really strong Michael side, so it's just going in Saturday now. The panels were quite excited for it. Like, it's a good, any county final, senior final is a good day out, so we're looking forward to it. We had a good championship run. We came a strong side against St. Mullins in the rounds, and look, we looked at that defeat and we came on from it and we reevaluated things. Good younger girls coming up. Like, it's nice to see the likes of Alwyn Lawler and Sheafra O'Neill, a few of the minors, really trying to claim stakes and starting positions that they deserve. And no one's going in oh, I'm guaranteed. I've been on it a few years. Really good younger girls coming up, and then we have the more experienced players as well, like Lisa, Abby and Emma Brennan. They're really holding central positions there. And during the championship, they really made a noticeable remark for themselves, getting on score sheets and just turning over ball, that fearless behaviour. As Breed was saying, the more fearless your players are, the better you're going to turn out in the end.
Mm-hmm. And you've only broken onto the panel yourself in the last couple of years. So there's obviously an element of fearlessness is there as well. And I think that's a very valid point where, I suppose it's innocence of youth in a way where maybe they don't see fear as much. I know we don't speak for every young camogie player when we say that, because some people can be quite anxious on county final day. Some people are probably too relaxed on county final day. But it's about getting the blend right, I suppose. And in time, you eventually find out what gets you going, I suppose, and what's right for you.
Yeah, well, I know I definitely read too much into big matches. I'm a nervous wreck in the morning over breakfast and a lot. But we've girls there who've been in plenty of county finals and plenty of game days, and they know how to show up on it. You're right, though. I've only broken onto it now. I transferred a few years ago, and
after freezing on us now for a second,
panel has really made a difference.
There you go.
Coming up with girls
Sorry,
really
Kate, you just froze for a sec.
So it's great
I'll
to
get
see
you to
that.
start there
sorry.
again. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying, just you're coming into a panel there, and everyone's as serious as the next. So we have girls there who are going to come into Saturday super relaxed. It's just another game, and then we have other girls like myself who'll be a nervous wreck. So it's just when you get the balance right and you're just going in treating it like another game, we'll see what will happen. Everyone's as serious about it as the next. So that's all we really need to see.
Yeah, and I know there is a lot at stake, but it is a game, and you are there to enjoy it because, it's not every year you get to play them unless you're Michael, of course. But in general, that's just the way it is. So you have to kind of enjoy the moment and take it for what it is as well, because we are there to enjoy it at the end of the day. And Breeze, I think you know that more than anyone, and maybe yourself, from your point of view, I'd say when you were starting off, did you get nervous on the day, or were you one of those that just happened to be kind of chilled anyway?
No, I'm definitely one of those that's nervous on the day, and always have been. Since I'm underage, I've always been the nervous type on the day of a match. But I suppose as soon as you get that first ball, or if you get a score up or something, those nerves kind of go out the window. And it's just like Katie said, it's about getting the balance. It suits some people to saunter into a county final like it's any other match, and that mightn't suit the next person, So I think once you know how it affects you, and once you know how to deal with it on the day, then I suppose it's whatever gets you over the line. But yeah, I'll definitely be nervous going into Saturday now. Healthy nerves, I hope.
Yeah, but I think they're good. Someone said before,
Yeah.
I think it was Barry McGuigan, the boxer, said that fear is like fire. You can use it to warm up the house, or you can let it burn the house down. I think it's a fairly good way of putting it. Normal to get a little bit nervous, but it's how you act upon that and focus. It's a good thing. It means you are focused at the end of the day. So yeah, I think it's natural to be feeling that way. I know people that we've had on the podcast here before, who played, at a very high level in hurling and football or whatever, and they'd admit quite openly about how nervous they were, and they put in some pretty good performances. But when you're looking up at them at the time, you're thinking they're taking this in their stride, but no, they're not. So I think it is quite a normal thing or whatever. But the thing I would like to move on to is kind of the Mark Brennan factor, because obviously, Breeze, he had such success with you over the years, and now he's in the opposite corner, which he was last year too. Well, it is an interesting dynamic, I suppose, going into this one, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I suppose we've a very extensive history with Mark, as training us with Michael and then with county team, and kind of back in the day when the county team was made up of a lot of girls from Michael. Mark was over, so he would have worked closely with a lot of us for years. But look, it's always a thing kind of in the back of our heads that he's on the line and we know him so well and he knows us so well. But at the end of the day, it's the players that we're going out to mark, and it's what our players give on the day of county final that either gets you over the line or it doesn't. So I suppose it's not really healthy to dwell on that and let it get in on your head. I mean, Mark is a fantastic manager and he's proven that year after year after year. So give credit where credit's due, but it definitely isn't something that we would be, holding on to going into a county final. He's a brilliant manager and he's on the line, but we've our own brilliant manager too, so we'll be focusing on that on the day.
And he's a mark also.
And he's a mark also, yeah. This is our third or fourth mark that's been over, so it must be something in the name.
Yeah, and Brendan Hayden is involved there somewhere as well, is he?
Yeah, Brendan comes and goes, so he didn't commit kind of at the start of the year because he's involved with so many county setups, but he comes and goes when he can, and he's brilliant. Like, Brendan has such a good kind of outlook on it, and he's kind of very calm, and we're not a calm team. If anyone has ever worked at Michael in the past, we know that we're not a calm team. We're very loud and outgoing, so Brendan kind of keeps us in check as well, which is what we need, and he's very good. So we're glad to have him when he can come. And Mark Ayres, of course, is with us the last 2 years, and he's absolutely brilliant. So we really have no cause for complaints as regards management.
Mm-hmm. Katie, Gary Murphy, talk to us about Mark Brennan then. Like, I mean, even this year in terms of what he's done with the Meath ladies footballers, he's obviously was heavily involved in that success. We did try to have him on that night, and I don't know whether he fell over or whether the phone fell. What do you call it? He says phone, but we're going to say him just for the crack on you, going him up. But what's he like to work with? Give us kind of an insight on that. I know what he's like to play with anyway, and definitely a great teammate. Very encouraging, very very much his own man. And but yeah, I think any team would like to have him over him.
Yeah, he's a very serious man with a very serious determination for us, I suppose. Like, he was there when we won the junior and brought us up in senior, and the following year we were senior semi-final, then the next year final. So it's kind of progression, as he always says, progression over perfection. So it's kind of just driving on. Like, he's brought on girls who might have been stronger, more athletes than hurlers, and he brings it back down to the basics and works on people's strong points rather than, look, everyone has to be at the same level, striking at the same distance. He finds the pros and cons in each athlete, I suppose, and he's kind of brought out the best in each player. The man's mad about our team, so I hope it's working for us anyway. Now, it might come across Saturday, we might see it. We have Roisin Green as well, and like, that girl's amazing. It's kind of nice to have a player manager, like a girl who's still playing with Paulstown, so she knows exactly what's kind of going on in everyone's heads as well. So when you have those kind of girls or those kind of teammate on the sideline, it kind of drives us on as well. They're not going to make you do something that they wouldn't expect from themselves when they're both playing. It's kind of nice that way.
Roisin's a great character as well, in fairness.
Yeah, she's something else.
Yeah, I actually copped a little sly one last year. I don't know if many people copped it at all, but during that county final, maybe it was semi-final actually. I think the semi-finals day was bad weather. Was it raining the day of the county final as well for a while? I think maybe it might have been, but one of those days anyway, the ball went out for line ball on just in front of the neighbouring sideline, and a little impromptu switch of a slitter from Roisin. I copped it. I don't know if many other people did, but she got away with it, and fair play to her. But yeah, like, I suppose we can't not talk about last year, I suppose. I felt during that game, Neighbourhood obviously very competitive, but then the goals told in the second half, and that's kind of, I think 4-7 is the way I finished. I'm not quite sure it was a 12-point game. Scoring never lies, people say, just throw a cliche out there. But I think we were actually quite competitive in that. And Breach, I suppose you're expecting a bit of a battle here this time around as well.
Absolutely. And like, I suppose even speaking of Mark Brennan, like, we've trained under Mark Brennan, we know what he's about and his business, and we know the level that is expected of Katie and her teammates training under him. So we're absolutely not underestimating what they're going to bring on Saturday. And look, last year, I suppose we did get up a good score against Nave Breed, but as I said, winning county finals in the past doesn't guarantee him in the future. And I think score lines don't reflect games as much, like, we definitely weren't fancying our chances, even with that much of a lead, only until that final whistle blew. Like, you really can't be guaranteed no matter how much of a score you've put up. So I suppose, look, goals win games, and if you're lucky to get a few in a match, that's brilliant. But as I said, we definitely won't be dwelling on the success last year, and we won't be underestimating what's ahead of us on Saturday. So it's just get the head down and try to get the job done.
What do you think you have to do differently then, Katie, from last year, I suppose? What were those learnings and are they simple things? Are they more complex? And how confident are you, I suppose, that Newbury can learn from that and maybe upset things?
I suppose you're coming up against a team you've been playing in so many county finals, like they're game day girls as well, and we just kind of went in. I don't know if there was a lot left to be decided after it, and we may just park and move on from last season. But you're coming away like, I should have won this, and did I go hard enough at that? And a lot of girls had the same like thinking behind it, like I should have scored more, I should have taken on more. And when you're playing against Michael with such goal threat players like Ciara Quirk, and now you have like Amy Nolan, as Bridge was saying, like they've up and coming girls. So you're coming against that, you need to just take it on the chin and just be more vicious and a bit more work rate. And like I want it that bit more. And I suppose, I don't know if we just didn't have it or we just need to find it. But coming up Saturday, I suppose we might need to be that little bit more vicious coming into it.
Okay, and I suppose from my point of view, looking at it from the outside in, I see winners on both sides, right? Because obviously a lot of those girls that won, Leinster titles, we'll say, with All Auckland are on that Newbury panel, and then Michael have obviously won All Ireland club titles at various grades. So I think that makes this very intriguing. Both sets of girls know how to win. So that kind of adds to it, and it's going to be a cracker. But it's definitely something that would stand out, Bridge, that I suppose you're cognizant too, that both sides know how to win these games, and I suppose that Newbury are turning up for this one, and we've said it's going to be a battle already, but because they have that mentality, you kind of know what you're going to get. Whereas maybe in other county finals, you might have felt perhaps that you're coming up against opposition, and it's no disrespect to anyone who's ever played in the final, but they mightn't have actually won a whole lot, whereas Newbury are a bit different. So that's probably a factor as well, it has to be said.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can never underestimate the winning mindset. Like it's really one of the key factors that will get you over the line. And there's no doubt that Newbury have that, and their management have that, and they have belief on the line and on the field. So, as I said, we won't be underestimating what Newbury will bring to the table on Saturday. And we certainly won't be underestimating what we have to bring as well. So, look, as you said, it's going to be a cracker, and I think it's going to be really good for Carlow Camogie going forward. There's a lot of tickets sold for Saturday. I think it'd be great for younger girls to come and see such a competitive county final, and I just think it's definitely a good step going forward for competitiveness within Carlow on county final day, especially.
And you heard James and Mick say earlier about the size of the panels that they both have with Winnipeg and with Burn Rangers, and the participation level. And that comes, as the lad said, from a lot of Trojan work. But there's also things you can't forget, like the All Ireland success with the county. 2016 and 2012, wasn't it? Both those years. Mick was actually over them in 2012. And I think Mark in 2016, when both those All Irelands were won. And a lot of girls are actually looking up at that and thinking, geez, I want a piece of that. So that has to be a factor. And obviously you'd be encouraging the same in terms of maybe getting to the game and having a look and, thinking that could be me in a few years' time. All very important, and it all ties in together, like.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like in 2016, when even coming back to Carlow after the match, like we didn't even realise the amount of people that were out supporting us that day. And even going into that final, like young players coming up asking to sign their hurls and sign their jerseys and stuff. And it's stuff that you wouldn't even think would happen going into a match, like, because that was just another match for us, I suppose. We didn't really see the importance of it to so many younger players. So anything that can get that bit of a buzz among the county and younger players coming through is positive for Carlow Camogie. So hopefully we've a bit more of that on Saturday.
Absolutely. And look, we're almost at the end of the programme, but I would just like to pay a special tribute to one man in particular who sadly, is no longer with us, but was such a great server for Carlow Camogie, and that's Mr. Pat O'Brien. And I have such great memories of Pat. I know with our under-16 team was saying we got to that final in 2010, and I think was maybe the year after it was 16s and minors, or 2011 it was, sorry, 2011. Like anything I ever asked for, I got, and there was no stone left unturned. And I don't know if there was a whole lot there in the kit at the time, being brutally honest about it, but he found it from somewhere. It mightn't even been from Carlow Camogie, but he found it, and he got us what we needed. Like, and I remember even being looked after in terms of going back for a feed after games. I know senior teams at that point that didn't get that treatment. It sounds so basic, but wasn't there. Pat made it happen. Great character as well. Was often in the house for a cup of tea. Just loved to chat about GS. So I'd like to pay tribute to him, and obviously great memories of him as well.
Yeah, such a driving force behind Carlow Camogie at a time, as he said, when it was nothing, like really picked it up from the ground. And I suppose as younger players as well, all we knew of Pat was, we didn't see what went on behind the scenes. All we knew of Pat was the man on the sideline. He'd always shake your hand afterwards, and he'd always have his Carlow cap on, and that's what we saw of him. It's only when you get older you realise the work that he actually did for us. Like, he's the reason that we're able to play the way we are, I suppose, at county level and have the setup that we have.
Yeah, a great man indeed. Well, listen, obviously Saturday is a massive day. It is the Reddies of Carlow junior and senior Camogie Championship final. As I said, 1 o'clock for the junior final between Burn Rangers and Winnebog, and 3 o'clock Michael versus Nairn. Breeze, Nolan, Katie, Gary Murphy, the very best luck. Thanks for joining us, and we'll chat to you soon.
Kevin.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
There we go. So that's where we leave it, folks, for this edition of the Left Wing Back Show. Was, of course, our Carlow Camogie up for the match special. Thanks for getting in touch with us. A few comments come in there, I think, which we didn't actually get to. Don't forget to give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at the Left Wing Back, or if you want to get in touch by email, leftwingbackpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to Swans Electrical Expert Carlow as well, and Reddies of Carlow, who we have to mention as great sponsors of Carlow Camogie. Chat to you again soon, folks. Take care.